Man, I'm so excited about talking about this Cotto Canelo fight. First and foremost, people were expecting a barn burner. They were expecting, you know, a brawl. That didn't happen. It was a tactical fight. I saw it happening like that, and it actually came out that way. I am so impressed with both fighters. I want to particularly say that I am particularly impressed with the performance of Miguel Cotto. First and foremost, I don't believe that the judges' scorecards were correct. I think even though the judges unanimously had Canelo winning this fight, I thought this fight was actually a lot closer than all three judges had it. But I understand that pretty much the odds were against Miguel Cotto going into this fight anyway. However, I must say, I thought Canelo Alvarez won this fight 115-113. I thought that this fight swayed to Canelo Alvarez's favor, mainly because at certain rounds in the fight, he really landed the shots that more wobbled Miguel Cotto than Miguel Cotto, when he landed certain shots, wobbled Canelo. He did land some shots on Canelo that did get Canelo's attention, but didn't really wobble him, okay? Was Canelo buzzed at any point in time? Probably. But evenly matched fight, folks. Evenly matched fight. Right down the center, it was evenly. These guys were making adjustments. At a certain point in time, Miguel Cotto's jab was working for him in the earlier rounds. And then Canelo made an adjustment, and he started to let Miguel Cotto slip inside and then land that uppercut on Miguel Cotto. And then Canelo's uppercuts was working. And then Miguel Cotto made an adjustment with his guard and his pivot, and all of a sudden that wasn't working. And then Miguel Cotto would try and get on the inside, land a combination and get out. And Canelo would counterpunch him when he tried to come on the inside. Beautiful, beautiful fight. Then there was an exchange of jabs to assert who had the better jab. And then Canelo turned into Floyd Mayweather. I mean, Miguel Cotto just couldn't touch him. I mean, Miguel Cotto was throwing combinations, and Canelo Alvarez was just not there, and he was standing right in front of him. And then all of a sudden, Canelo started countering Miguel Cotto with, left hooks to the body and to the head, and catching Miguel Cotto in between his combinational shots. And then Miguel Cotto made an adjustment, and all of a sudden, Canelo couldn't hit Miguel Cotto. He turned Floyd Mayweather. And all of a sudden, Canelo couldn't touch him. I mean, he was on the ropes, and Canelo couldn't touch him. You know what I mean? It was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful boxing. Two boxer punchers. I mean, Cotto did buzz Canelo a couple times with overhand rights. Canelo did catch Miguel Cotto with overhand rights and sometimes with the left hook, and buzz him a little bit, nick him a little bit, catch him with a little uppercut. But this was a beautiful fight right down to the bell. Canelo busted up Miguel Cotto's eye in the 12th round. And at the end of the 12th round, Miguel Cotto was coming back with all of those straight jabs. The jab was working for him on the pivot. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful boxing. None of the fighters should be ashamed. I wish, I have to say I wish, but my common sense and my eyes tell me Canelo was the, heavier puncher. And also on top of that, he actually stayed very fresh throughout the fight. He was a fresh fighter from round 1 to round 12. Miguel Cotto, at a certain point in the fight, his punches started to lapse off, and then all of a sudden he got back the strength, and he came back with those jabs. And his jab was highly effective in the early parts of the fight and in the later portion of the fight. It's like he almost couldn't miss with that jab in those two portions of the fight. It was just great stuff. And for Canelo, what was going for him was he was fresh, he would wait. Sometimes he would lead off. Sometimes he'd lead off with a jab. Sometimes he'd lead off with his rights. And he'd counterpunch Miguel Cotto. Because Miguel Cotto was the aggressor at certain points in time. Canelo Alvarez was the aggressor. It was a cat and mouse game throughout. Miguel Cotto's movement was beautiful in the ring. Beautiful. I mean, the defense and the offense. I mean, this was a fight with skills that exhibited a really equally matched fight. The only difference was Canelo had a little bit more pop in his shots. But these guys went toe-to-toe. They adjusted to one another. It was a beautiful, beautiful fight. You couldn't get a better fight than this. No shame in Miguel Cotto. He finished the fight strong, jabbing Canelo Alvarez and coming after him. It was a great, great fight. Both fighters were measured in how they approached each other. Beautiful exhibition. The passing of the torch, sort of, kind of. Because Canelo was the sharper, guy in there. But no shame in this loss Miguel Cotto should have. Not an inch of shame. Of course, he's going to not feel happy about losing because everything was kind of stacked against him in Las Vegas, Nevada. But then again, no shame to Canelo Alvarez. Now the lineal champion, Ring Magazine champion, as well as the WBC world champion. He burst out into tears after winning that title. And on top of that, he said he's ready and prepared to face Gennady Golovkin next. So, I mean, you couldn't get a better champion. This guy is ready to take on Gennady Golovkin. Bring him on. He does remind me a lot of Floyd Mayweather, but so does Miguel Cotto. I mean, you saw defense, you saw offense, you saw... There wasn't a whole bunch of combination of punches that landed. There was a lot more pot shotting. So it's more like a Floyd Mayweather fight. People are expecting it to be a barn burner and a brawl, but it actually turned out to be a tactical technicians fight that I, again, expected it to be. I didn't expect it to be a brawl, and I said that a number of times. I think I said it on a hangout as well. I thought it was going to be a tactical fight. It turned out to be exactly that. The thing with Mayweather versus Pacquiao was Pacquiao didn't have that kind of tactical skill these both guys exhibited, even though he did have to some degree. But you have to be able to have that tactical skill to not throw so many punches, because if you try to throw combinations, neither fighter could really land combinations on each other in this fight. And similarly, Pacquiao couldn't land combinations on Floyd, and Floyd knew to land 2 or 3 shots at a time on Pacquiao, because Pacquiao would be moving a lot. And it's the same thing in this fight. Miguel Cotto was moving a lot, so Canelo Alvarez, he couldn't really tee off with a whole bunch of combinations, and neither could Miguel Cotto throw a whole bunch of combinations. Every time he tried to throw a whole bunch of combinations, Canelo wasn't even there. You know what I mean? When Canelo tried to throw a whole bunch of combinations and crash Miguel Cotto and take him out of there, Cotto wasn't around to be found. This was a great fight, man. Oh, man, I loved it. And I think this is one, again, to keep for the archives. It's not a Felix Trinidad versus Oscar De La Hoya. Felix Trinidad still got popped by Oscar De La Hoya at will. Miguel Cotto wasn't getting popped at will by Canelo Alvarez. You had to really set up the shot to get Miguel Cotto. You had to really be thinking. There was 2 thinkers in there. And I thought they were evenly matched. I thought Miguel Cotto held his own in this fight. The only difference was the power, where Canelo actually more stunned Miguel Cotto with 1 or 2 shots that he actually caught him with. Obviously, he busted his eye as well. And I think that's what gave him the edge. For instance, the 12th round, Canelo busted Miguel Cotto's eye. But if you think about it, punch for punch, Miguel Cotto was landing a whole bunch of jabs on Canelo, and after Canelo had backed him up, he didn't really hit Miguel Cotto with anything after that punch. And then Cotto came back and landed a couple of jabs on Canelo Alvarez. So even though Miguel Cotto might have outlanded Alvarez, they might have given it for the damage that Alvarez did. So you give Alvarez the 12th round. But if you really think about it, if you're thinking about the punches landed, you might have given Miguel Cotto the 12th round. But of course, Canelo was also the aggressor. Miguel Cotto was on the back foot at the time. But Miguel Cotto fought a beautiful fight. He made adjustments to the uppercut. He made adjustments to the left hook. He made adjustments. He was blocking everything. I mean, oh man, you gotta love Miguel Cotto. You gotta love Miguel Cotto. Beautiful, beautiful boxing, man. You gotta love Canelo Alvarez. I told you I love both guys. And, I'm sorry that one of them had to lose this fight, because honestly speaking, they were evenly matched straight down the center. That's why I told you this fight was just too close for me to call. So this is my initial reaction. I'm going to have to rewatch this fight a couple times and just absorb all the boxing that was involved in there, because this was a beautiful boxing match. This was like Mayweather versus Pacquiao, if Pacquiao had the boxing skills and IQ like a Mayweather, but it wasn't as equally matched, because Mayweather he had a much higher IQ than Manny Pacquiao in terms of smarts in the ring. But in this case, these both guys were really evenly matched. They could just make adjustments to each other, and it was beautiful to watch. I mean, I don't know what else to say, man. This was a great, great fight. Does it restore boxing? I think it's like Mayweather versus Pacquiao, in my opinion. I just want to know what the pay-per-views were, because I think this was a big pay-per-view event. I hope it did very well. It was a nicely contested fight. Miguel Cotto was more like the Floyd, moving around the ring a little bit. He was moving more than Floyd, actually. Canelo really has learned from the Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight. And he's learned how to make a boxer come to him, because when you have the counter-punching skill, you have to let a boxer come to you. And he let Miguel Cotto come to him, but Miguel Cotto was smart. He realized he had to pick his angles, he had to pick his spot, he had to pick how he was coming in on Canelo. And I think for a certain period of time, he was a little frustrated that he couldn't land on Canelo. I mean, he was hitting nothing but air at a certain point in time. It was beautiful, man. Beautiful boxing. Oh, I just loved it. Anyway, you guys have a great one.